Welcome to Family Jewels. My name is Olga Call.
And I am Charlie Dinkin. Was that what I was meant to say?
Yeah, great.
Sure.
We used to have a thing where I was like, this is my best friend, Charlie Dinkin. And she's like, this is my colleague, Olga Call.
Honestly, could not
like
remember it in my brain. So I was just reading it off my phone every single time. And it started to feel a bit stiff.
No, it's good. Can I just check something? I just texted my brother a family question. And I want to see if he was responded first. Right, so he's not responding, so we've abandoned that.
Wait, we
Just
should
a question.
introduce you. Let's introduce you and continue with the podcast in order.
That sound you're hearing as the voice of Oobah Butler.
Oh, were we recording? Oh, sorry.
What have you texted your brother about?
I just want to know I've only got 3 levels of family tree, and I don't know beyond that. I think he knows more. And I was like, I just wanted to ask about my dad's parents, where they were born, or
Did you give him any context, or you just out of the blue?
like where he's into that stuff.
Yeah.
He's into that stuff.
Okay, so what I already know is that you have at least a dad's dad, a dad, and a brother. 3 mystery men.
Yeah, there we go. Keep on piling them up.
Wait, so what was the 3 levels of family? You, your parents.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Wait. No, my granddad's parents. I've got to that. I know that.
Oh wow.
But then beyond that, I don't. Oh no, I do a little bit on my mum's side. I know more.
All right.
But yeah.
That's pretty far back.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start on the level 1. It's
okay.
You. Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I've got 5 siblings.
You got 5 siblings?
Yes, I'm the youngest of 6.
Oh my God, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Grew up in a place called Fenham, which is a really small village in the Midlands. My mum's family have been there for like 400 years, which is pretty crazy.
So you know 400 years, kind of.
That's the one bit where I'm like, yeah, I know that goes back. We're like the Davis family.
Do you know what they did?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, just labourers, basically.
Okay.
But my granddad worked in the needle mills in Redditch, because that's where...
Needle mill. Is that where you make needles?
Make needles. I actually did something recently.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it's nice. There's actually a really nice story. I mean, I think it's nice because it's about my family. It won't be interesting, maybe, to you, but we'll give it a go. Where they used to because they used to cycle from Fenham to Redditch to go and work in the needle factory.
That sounds like a cartoon mouse.
It feels like, well, the image is basically what they used to do. Is
cycling to the needle mill.
Mom remembers her mom telling her the story of that. They would cycle past the window and they all in a line would go together and they would call up to the window and that would be the alarm, and they would all cycle up like about 4 miles to the needle factory together. Like all these, like, you know, my granddad Arthur. And yeah, that was what he did. We all grew up in that village. There's about 700 people. I was there till I was like 24, 23, 23, 24. Yeah.
Who are the other families in the area? Like, who are your rivals?
Rivals. I mean, I would say that with villages in general, as someone who's grown up in one, I don't have a romantic view of them really. I have a kind of realistic view of them. And I think that I was actually talking about this yesterday. That's why I've got come in with a loaded vibe.
Please.
But like, no, I just think that like a lot of what people in these kind of places now it serves commuters quite a lot, I would say.
Yeah.
And people move there with an idea of like from the Archers of like what a village is. Whereas because I grew up in
village fete, barn dance.
I mean, that definitely is true.
Okay.
That stuff is
correct.
true. but like it's also like it's quite rough. Like Feckenham, there's a lot of like farmers who are out of work, and there's like my mum's family are traditionally like one of the few remaining like working families of Feckenham or whatever. Like there's no money in our family, but there's basically what I'm saying is there's a really select group of other families who are like us, but most of them have had to move out.
Got you.
So like there's us, which is the Davises traditionally.
Yep.
This is so lame. Sorry. Then
of the Feckenham Davises.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then there's the Stylers. There's the Stylers.
Yeah. Friends or
I love
enemies.
how you're willing to just name drop.
Friends or enemies? I gotta know.
Oh no, they're not enemies. These are all just like more working class families of Feckenham. Whereas now it would be really difficult to live in Feckenham if you I wouldn't have grown up in Feckenham if I was in this generation now, because there's just no work in a place like that. So that's why villages are becoming this like losing that thing that I said about. They were I felt like we grew up in an environment. I definitely was surrounded by a lot more. Like a lot of my friends are quite middle class, but like and then really super old school posh people in the village as well, like a cartoon, like, oh, hello there, like really properly old school posh. But like, what I'm saying is it's like there are a very select group of like more just like people who've been in the village for as long as we have. There's like, it's very much, I think we're on the last legs. Like none of my siblings.
Yes, everyone gone.
My sister is still in Feckenham, but I'm not sure if she'll stay there long term. And that's quite sad. I mean, everyone's...
So the dream of the bicycles following each other is dead.
Yeah, they're going off a cliff like Wile E. Coyote now. It's, yeah. No, I mean...
An astute political cartoon.
It's like, yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I very much grew up in a village. I couldn't drive. I was like... So it was like... And it's surrounded by these like miles of roads and countryside that are like... Were loads of people that we knew either died in car crashes on it or had car crashes or got injured. Like I can name like 20 people now who had that.
A lot of car crashes on my road too.
Yeah.
Oh, well, is it because there's like no public transport?
Yeah,
so people
exactly.
drive drunk? Or?
Yeah, drunk driving around little windy roads.
And I guess no like lights as well, right?
Yeah.
It was. They're just, and it's also like insane 60 miles an hour roads. And like my dad, by the way, used to drive up when he got back from the pub when when he was younger, and he would drive it with his car door open so he could see the middle of the road, so that he was like, so that's like what we're dealing with, and it's just like. Yeah, and I mean, to be fair to my dad, he only had one car crash on that. It was he went into a lamppost, and I don't think he was drunk. No, he definitely wasn't. My dad's not a big drinker.
Well, yeah, when you're looking at the middle of the road, you're
definitely
not looking at the lamppost.
Well, I don't think he was driving quick, but like, anyway, so it was just like a really, it is quite interesting, like the view that we have of the countryside as a kind of a nation now, I feel, and like in comparison to someone who actually grew up in it. I feel like there's a big difference. Especially, I don't think if you're in the southeast of England, I think, and you're in the home counties, I feel like there is quite an established idea of what it is, and that might be more like what people think it is. Mm-hmm. But in the Midlands, where I grew up, it's definitely not that kind of thing, I would say.
Did you find that, and I know this from my friends who grew up in Middle America, like I had a friend called Tracy who grew up in Ohio, and there was like nothing to do. And when you're not old enough to drink and all you could do is just like be in a field, they used to do this prank I think they called buttering. Which was they would take a stick of butter and then they would like stick it onto someone's mailbox and then run away or drive away.
Why?
Because it's like impossible to get. I mean, apparently it's really difficult, especially in the cold, to get the butter off the. Wow. So I guess you like melted it a little bit.
Wait,
and you stick it in the cold.
Okay, fine. Yeah,
and then it's melted onto the mailbox, and then it's like
they can't pull it off because it's so buttery. What? That's a bad prank. I don't like that prank. That sucks. I thought you were gonna be like she's like pushing over cows. She's like whatever. Aren't people always doing things like that?
Yeah.
Well, I
guess, butter on a mailbox.
Butter on a mailbox.
Come on.
A waste of butter.
That is a waste of butter.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, was there sort of like, what was it like growing up in a place that's 700 people?
Yeah, right. I mean, we would just like, I mean, we started drinking when we were like 13, so whatever. I mean, it's what it is.
Legend!
We had nothing else to do.
Very
they were serving us in the pubs when we were about that age as well, which is insane.
Other 13-year-olds.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, but like, and it's like the landlord's like, you know, like Paddy McWalter was the landlord, but he was like, you know, he'd been serving whatever, my grandparents, yada yada yada. There was nothing. I mean, we had like there was quite a lot of like local stuff going on. Like we used to have a village pantomime that we'd all be in. It would be once a year.
That's thrilling.
Which makes sense for a pantomime.
Sorry, two pantomimes has really set things
like,
off
pantomime
here.
Is my jam. I gotta say something about that. Please make your pantomime comment.
Star role for you?
No, I never had a star role. I was too young. But I had because we were a bit of a mafia on the pantomimes. My dad wrote it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Maybe you didn't have a starring role.
Nepo baby pantomime.
Was one of your siblings the star?
They were sometimes,
All
not
right.
all the time, but once.
Only if they earned it.
My sister was Dorothy, Wizard of Oz. There was a Wizard of Oz pantomime. What was I? I was like, I was really young. I was Phil Mitchell in one of them.
What?
Don't know who that is.
A non-traditional
from
panto.
EastEnders. That was
Wait,
like
what?
one of them was like a variety show, and the ending sequence of it was like this like thing that was based on the WWF, and I was Phil Mitchell.
Oh, it was kind of like a satirical, like...
Yeah, kind of. I mean, that was like the as they went on. I mean, originally it was like Robin Hood, Aladdin,
And then
Scrooge.
your dad ran out of ideas.
Then I think they were decided to put a load of stuff together.
Phil Mitchell wrestling.
That's a very clear image of my mate's dad, Henry, being Marilyn Monroe. That was great. And singing.
Oh, that must have been thrilling.
Yeah, singing. What would it have been? I Want to Be Loved by You, was it?
Oh,
Something like that. I can't
Happy
remember.
birthday,
Classic.
Mr. President.
Amazing.
Yeah, something like that.
That's fun.
So we did that, and that would always just be like a big party. There was a lot of stuff. We were in the youth club that was going on. I mean, loads of like gross camping parties where we would cause we went and filmed something the other day for a project I'm working on in Fenham, and walking down the high street and speaking to people. And every single person that stopped was like, "Oh, I remember when you did this awful thing," and I was like, "Oh God!" It makes like a really kind of just made me sound like a absolute piece of work. But I wasn't like too like bad. I wasn't like stealing cars. I was just like doing silly shit, like I don't want to say.
Rolling around the countryside.
Yeah, exactly. I
fine.
mean, like. We would, knock door runs. I used to make our own jackass. With like, and we.
Oh, fuck yes.
We used to get there was a park bench on the village square that we put out in the middle of the road, and it'd be like you'd play chicken and wait for the car. We'd all be sat on the bench. That was pretty fun.
The first thing they say is don't try and do it at home.
I know, but
That is a really good one.
lo and behold. I remember stripping in the road. Oh my God, yeah.
Lots of stuff happening on the road.
Yeah, lots of road stuff. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of camping parties. I mean, when we were younger, it was just like causing a ruckus, being naughty in a place with not much to do. Yeah, I mean, there was no shops when I was growing up. Oh, there's one shop, a camping shop called Barrett's.
Yeah, love a Barrett's.
Which I used to work at a later point and lost my job at.
Because you did something?
Just fell asleep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Come on, that's
I
not
was
so
in the,
bad.
That's
on
just
the
a testament
break.
to how comfortable the...
Yeah, on the
comfortable the
break.
tents
I was
are,
on my
yeah.
break.
No.
Unbelievable. There was like 3 pubs. One camping job, nothing else.
That's it.
And I feel like, I don't know. It was good. I had a really good upbringing, but I definitely grew up. I was there till I was like 22, 23. There was a lot of we used to put on gigs, stuff like that. But then like, I feel like by the end of it, I was like very much. I have the opposite in me now. I find it really suffocating to be in quiet places.
What was the catalyst for you to move out?
Well, I think there was a few things. I think I always kind of wanted to, but that classic kind of small town thing where I'm not sure when I was going to, because I didn't go to university. I deferred, and I never went. I was working in a sort of a car factory around not far away, in Stud, whatever, doesn't matter. And yeah, I mean, I was in a band. I was enjoying that. Like,
You had stuff going on.
yeah, I mean, I also what finally it was my partner wanted to move down and had a job. So I was just like, yeah, finally, and that was kind of the catalyst to actually do it. And yeah, that was like then. I mean, the first year in London, I think, is really hard. Like, weirdly, most people in the village not most people, a load of our friends in our original friendship group all moved down together. So we all still live here now, and we've got this weird, like, disproportionate amount of people from Feckenham in South London. Yeah, it's nice.
That's really cute.
That's
You could
lovely.
do the bench thing again.
We could do the bench thing. I think
You
it would
got the
go
whole gang
very
ready for
differently. We've got a camera set up now. But like, yeah, so I feel like it was like once I got down, first year was hard. And then after that was like, yeah, the best decision that was ever made in my life.
So you mentioned that your mom's family's all from Feckenham.
Yes.
How did she meet your dad?
So they met at Redditch College. My mum was in the nursing unit, so my mum's a nurse. And my dad is from Birmingham, from Sheldon. and he was going. My dad's story is funny. He like didn't even know Redditch is where that college was, not far from Feckenham. You know, like the nearest town to Feckenham. You know, and he was from Birmingham, so he's from the city, and he'd never heard of Redditch. So when he went to go to Redditch College, he was offered this sort of scholarship thing, and he got it, and he was, I hope it's by the seaside. And his mom packed him with a load of sandwiches, and he got on the bus, and he fell asleep. He said he'd just fallen asleep. And it had been 50 minutes or whatever, and then it was like, I'll get off Redditch. And he got off on Unicorn Hill, which is the like main road in Redditch, and was like, what a shithole. But, I mean, that's like,
no sea inside.
Yeah, a really high expectation.
Yeah. I mean, he just wanted to be by the sea, but like, I'm not.
Way to go off into the world. I love that.
It's like, it's so different.
A bag of
isn't it?
sandwiches and crossing your fingers for a sandy beach.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, so... I mean, I don't want to disparage Redditch too much. It's where I'm from.
We can bleep it out, don't worry.
No, it's fine.
Because then we can have our listeners guess.
We're allowed to be... I think if you're from somewhere, you're allowed to be disparaging.
You definitely are.
Absolutely.
You definitely are. It's yours. You are.
Yeah, it's worse if you're being shitty about somewhere you don't even know about.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm always saying, Islington, another brunch place.
Boom. So they met at Redditch College. They saw each other in the canteen, and very cute. Very, I think they were like 19, 20, that kind of thing.
So young.
Yeah, and then
they were like, let's have 6 children together.
Weirdly, like on one of their first dates, they were like, my mum said that she wanted 6 kids.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
And then she's like, come to Feckenham, and he's like, hope it's on the beach.
Yeah, genuinely. He said, and my dad tells his story about when he first went to Feckenham, and he was a bit like, this is a bit weird. I need to get out of the house here, because it was like there was a lot of very involved. And then he went out to the pub, and the guy stood, sat behind the bar was my mum's uncle. And he was like, oh shit, okay, exactly. Then he went somewhere else. Went to the football club for a pint. Her granddad was behind the bar, and then
That's
it was
horror film. That's an A24.
Yeah, genuinely. And it's like, so it was like every single place. It was like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah. Who I'm dating? To go. Oh, who's the good? Oh, Vicky Chambers. Oh, okay, yeah, I know her. Oh, yeah, that's my granddaughter. Oh, fuck, like that kind of thing.
Terrifying.
Which is funny because my dad was from Birmingham, in a big city. It's the opposite, the opposite. So so that was mom and dad, and I mean they started trucking in their early 20s, and then they were all done by the time they were like my age.
Well,
so,
oh my god,
a different time. A different time.
That truly is a different time. So what made them want to go to Feckenham instead of Birmingham?
I just don't think.
They already knew everyone.
This is true.
I think that's where my mum was from. I don't think there was ever really there was that.
She sounds like a woman who knew what she wanted.
Yeah.
She's like 6 kids.
And also all of her mum and her dad were there. Her brother was still there. Her sister was still there. Her whole family's still there. It's still a lot. If you're still at home, there's still a lot of our family. And like you'll be at school and someone's your cousin, you didn't even realise. That was quite weird. You were like, Seth's your cousin.
We all lost our virginities. Yeah.
Got to do that Icelandic.
Yeah,
they're doing that. They're looking on an app to see, but it's not if they're related. They all definitely are related.
Right? Yeah.
It's like how related.
Yeah, how far back does it go? Not that bad.
Cousins are fine.
Mom didn't want that. I think that's why she went to Birmingham. But like, yeah. So it was. I don't know why they went to. That's a good question. I don't think there was ever. I think Dad was a bit of a lost soul. He had a bit of a difficult upbringing, and I think that he was sort of looking. And Mum's upbringing was the opposite. It was like ultra, just like.
Yeah, and it probably was just like so tempting to see a family unit that's like.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I see Community that's that tight knit, whenever anyone's like, oh yeah,
so exciting,
having dinner with my parents every week, I'm like, how?
Yeah.
What was your upbringing like?
Well, I haven't lived in the same country as my parents since I was 13, 14. So like the idea of being close to your parents is crazy to me. I see them maybe like 3 times a year.
Yeah,
You speak a lot?
Maybe like weekly, I'd say.
That's quite a lot.
I guess, but there are people who like talk to their mom every day.
Not us.
Not you?
Not us.
you?
Not
Yeah,
us.
what's your
Girl, mom
vibe?
friends.
They're
I see
in
my
Florida.
parents when I see them. They're in Florida. I'll see them. It'll be nice to see them. I'll catch up when there's some drama.
Right.
What news is there to discuss?
This is true. It's like, it's very difficult to have a conversation with my parents unless we are being mean to somebody else. And if there's no one to be mean to, we're going to be mean to each other. So you need to tap out. You need to tap out.
And is that, I'm going to get this wrong, they're in Germany.
They're in Germany, yes.
Yeah, right,
oh my God, I can't believe you remember. Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
In Florida. Okay.
There we go.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, so I don't know. So that close-knit thing is really nice. I mean, we were just back at Christmas and there was like 16 of us. Mom and Dad's house is really small and it was like, I was sleeping on the floor and it was like 16 of us. So my
All
nieces
siblings?
and nephews, all siblings for the first
Wow.
time in about 5 years. And it was like, yeah, it was
Coordinating
amazing.
6 is a lot.
Yeah, but it was intense, but it was amazing. I wasn't cooking this year, so that was good. But yeah,
You need
it's
to do
nice.
like industrial sizes, like vats.
Yeah, we when I'd cooked for the first time about 10 years ago, maybe not quite. But then I went and got my dad to buy all these gastros. It's like you're in like a fucking like traveling kit fucking
Yeah.
breakfast. And so now they get used. They're like brought out once a year and used. But yeah, it's nice.
What's your age difference, oldest sibling to you?
10 years.
Oh, tight.
Yeah. It was
So every
all,
2 years.
Yeah, and then my brother and my 2 eldest brothers are Irish twins, so as close as they can be without being twins.
Oh my God. This happens more frequently than I had ever expected.
What?
We've had like, 8 episodes and like 2 or 3
Everyone's
people have
like, my
had this.
siblings are Irish twins. Like,
Really?
everyone's
Okay, fine.
born really close.
Yeah, right.
What are these mums doing? You're 10 years, but with no one in between with your
Yeah,
siblings.
my parents fuck every decade. So we're overdue a kid. We're overdue a fourth.
It would be a surprise now.
I can't even think of something that happens once a decade other than your parents fucking. What happens once a
My
decade?
dad was 19, lost his virginity to my mom. Bam, she's pregnant. Okay, they would wait 12 years for a normal time to have a kid. Me, I'm the only planned one, obviously.
Yeah.
And then my mom thinks she's like menopausal. 43, 44, she pops out another one.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
3 only children.
Yeah, and we all have completely different parents. Like if we broke the rules, if we, for example, showed up after curfew,
Yeah.
all 3 sets of those parents would act completely differently because they were like in their 20s, in their 30s, or in their 40s.
Do you think you got the best deal?
I think my sister had the funnest ones. My
The
favorite story
older
is that
parents.
on her 18th birthday, my mom was what? On her 18th birthday, my mom was like 40, not even. So they all like went clubbing and took shots together. And I was
Really?
like, I would never. In a million. Yeah, because my mom was like a hot 38-year-old.
Right. Yeah.
Can you repeat for this podcast the story of you being taken to a nightclub with your dad's friend?
So, for some reason, I have no idea. I think we were vacationing in Spain as a family, but my parents don't like sitting in one place. So it will be like, we'll do 5 different cities and we'll spend 16 hours in each city. And then it's back in the car because we need to see as much as possible.
Yeah, right,
So
yeah.
somehow we end up in Ibiza on a family holiday, which is like, why are you there? But I was 17, I want to say. And I was like, I can't believe I'm in Ibiza. This is my first time here. And I'm not going to go to a nightclub. Like, why would you do this to me? How would you do this to me?
Yeah.
And then my dad's like, you can go, but you obviously can't go alone. So he's like, I'm not gonna go. So his 50-year-old friend Ralph went with me famously in fucking Birkenstocks. And I was just
The most German. Is he German? German. He's got to be.
it was the most mortified I've ever been because I was like, I guess I'm getting what I want, but I'm getting it with a 50-year-old man in cargo shorts. And the thing is, I obviously dress up because like I'm not going to be caught dead not
of
looking
course.
cute at Pasha at 19. But I was just like, everyone thinks I'm his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And like, he's not even trying with me. Like I'm a hot 17-year-old and he's like, he thinks he thinks he can wear cargo shorts.
Did he
and
buy you an alcoholic beverage?
He bought himself an alcoholic beverage.
What did you have?
Oh, I didn't have anything. We left like 15 minutes in because I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, right.
I can't flirt with anybody.
Pasha.
In-
Fucking hell. Jesus Christ.
You and your minder.
I think there's quite a lot of German men in Birkenstocks and cargo shorts in Pasha.
we also went probably at like 10:45. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right, yeah. That's funny.
Mortifying story. So if anyone does ask me, that was the one and only time I've ever been to Ibiza. So if anybody has asked me if I've ever partied there, I technically have.
Technically, yes.
I was there for like 24 hours for a magazine feature once. Went
And
to
yeah,
Pasha.
yeah, how was that?
It was fun. I got really sick the next day. This is boring.
But
Just
what
talk
was
about the
what
night
was
out.
the angle?
The whole thing was like, we're trying to find the person having the most fun in Ibiza.
Was it you?
We found a guy who ran a ran the hotel. He was like,
He was having a great time.
he was a full Ibiza pilled kind of
Alright, yeah.
Brit who'd been there for a long time.
Yeah, that's exactly who I'd be imagining.
Yeah, just like, he's in his 50s, he's partied with everyone.
His name's Ralph, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. It was your dad's friend, Ralph.
He stayed. I left 15 minutes in, but
Did he actually?
No, of course he came with me.
Okay, fine.
But what I want to say, one of my favorite experiences was Charlie and I recently went to Barcelona, and we were there Saturday during the day on the beach, and we walked by Pasha, and it was rammed full of just men. Do you remember? They were like networking.
Some on laptops.
Well, they're
Yeah, some were on laptops.
Barcelona Pasha. There's a Pasha in Barcelona.
yeah.
By the beach.
Oh, wow, right.
And loads of dudes were in there sitting on their laptops.
Yeah, because I think
Saving
they
their
Really?
spots.
I guess they were like, yes.
It must have good Wi-Fi.
We could call them Germans. We can name them. Come on.
They're showing up ahead of time, so by the time the girls start coming, they're already there. And they
put it 6 to 8 hours of work. It's
And they have the best seats.
And they got the best seats in the house.
Fucking
showing
hell.
up to Pasha at noon to put your coat on every chair.
Yeah.
It looked terrible.
That's fun. I mean, you should have gone in.
Absolutely
You
not.
have to. If that's such a weird vibe. If ever, yeah. If there's something that bizarre, you've got to sample it.
We looked through the window. We enjoyed a moment of imagination.
Okay, I've just had a memory unlocked. May I please
Please,
share it
yes,
with you?
you must.
So there was a sort of nightlife renaissance in Russia in the early 2000s that was like, in the 90s, it was just like Euro trashy because it was just the first nightclubs ever opening post the Soviet times.
Yes.
And they were just like chaotic. And I think in the 2000s, they got a little classier because like more people from abroad started showing up. That like, I guess like whoever the promoters were would be going to European clubs and being like, all right, we need to dial this down.
Yeah, right.
And so the first sort of like fancy club started opening. And I distinctly remember that there was a club called Black October. And it was a cinema called Red October because everything was like Soviet named, obviously. And in the basement was Black October, which was like the nightclub. But during the day, it was a coffee shop that then turned into a nightclub at a certain time. So if you didn't have ID or were 14 years old like me, you go there as a coffee shop and you
Really?
just like hide in the bathroom
Stay.
until they convert it. So I want to explore farther into your bloodline. So, okay, what are your grandparents on your mother's side doing in Fenham?
Grandparents on mum's side. Right, okay. So Nan's line is the one that's been there forever.
Okay.
And then Grampy's line, Redditch, so that's like the town nearby.
So what I'm hearing is
Men looking for the sea, finding women in
so
Feckenham.
this is the sirens of Feckenham.
Yeah, true, yeah. The lure of Feckenham. Come back. I mean, Geoffrey Chaucer was the clerk of the works in Feckenham back in the... Yeah, so...
Whoa.
So, because it used to be like royal... It was a forest, and there was like a royal... there was like a hunting lodge that the king had in Feckenham. It was like royal. Like, so it's quite a historic place, but now it's just really fucking small. And Redditch, the like place to be.
Yeah.
Built for
big
like
city.
Yeah, built
Beachside,
big city. Where I went to school, is where my grandfather's line's from. All just like they're all just factory workers. I recently did, for a film that we're doing, one of the producers of Who Do You Think You Are gave me like 3 lines of my family, and I was like, what do we say? And she's like, basically all steel workers from the Midlands. I was like,
great.
fantastic, great.
Love the flavour, love the colour, love the detail.
Although there's one, I was excited by one, I was like, and loads and loads and loads of people. They've all got like, it's all like 16 siblings, 18 siblings.
God.
It's so many people. So she was like, look, if I actually was to make your family tree, it would be like the size of this. Like, you've got so many.
You could be related to anyone. It really could
Great,
be
thanks.
exciting.
Rubbed my head a lot. So yeah, I mean, but their mom, yeah. So then there's on that side, that's the Chambers family in Redditch. There's an Augustus. I liked that because I like my
that's
Roman
fun.
history.
That is fun.
And I was like, ooh, that sounds more fancy. And she was like, no, it's just a trend. But I like all the aristocracy came back, and then people started copying them using these slangs.
Yeah.
I was like, fantastic,
Amazing.
great, yeah, more of that, perfect.
Are they religious? Is that why we're talking so many kids?
My dad's side are all Catholic, but my mum's side are all Protestant. But I'm Catholic, we're Catholic. But so no, I just think that we were just working class in a time where everyone had shitloads of kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it. I think loads of them died. Like on my mum's side, in our local Feckenham, the graveyard. My mum's grandmother Lily used to work at Hanbury Hall She was like, which, our kind of Downton Abbey of the area.
Yeah.
And she died at 42 of tuberculosis.
No.
With 2 of her kids as well. And they're still buried in the graveyard in Feckenham. But there's still like a family story which is interesting where she was on her deathbed and Lady...
This is your grandmother or
great-grandmother?
Great-grandma.
And Lady Vernon, who's like the lady of the manor of the local place. She used to work as a handmaiden there, my great-grandmother, and she was on her deathbed and Lady Vernon came to visit her, and like my grandmother had to go and get like the best china in the house, and this woman's like on her deathbed still trying to like and like it's quite like a famous story within the family, and like my nan told it to like my mum, and it's like just so it says something so
to really like host her in a way that felt
on her deathbed
literally
it's
like,
just so and
of
2 of
all
her kids
things.
like my grandmother ended up being kind of the mother of that family, and all of her, because there was 9 of them I think, and 2 of them died. Was it more than that? 10 maybe. But then like 2 of my great auntie and my great uncle are still alive, and she basically was their mom essentially. And like so that and my mom, my mom's grandmother's line is like we don't know, we think they're travellers because there's, and I did that who do you think you are thing, because they're like just listed on the census as shepherds. And my uncle always used to, when he was drunk, used to say, like, he's still alive, but he used to be like, oh, we're from a line of travellers or whatever. And I was like, okay, I just thought he was bullshitting. But I think that's what that is.
Oh, I see.
But then my mom's...
When do they come into the family tree?
That'd be my great grandparents.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where I know till.
That's pretty
That's
good.
impressive. I feel like you
Yeah.
came in so self-conscious, being like, guys, I'm really, really sorry. I don't know.
I'm trying to revise this.
Who I was related to 500 years.
But I think that the Arthur Davis, that's because my middle name's Arthur, and my nephew, my brother's just had a baby, and he's Arthur now. But he.
Are you gonna have an Augustus? Is that the plan?
Fucking said that as soon as I was like, I would go for Octavian if you like.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, he's going to think I'm a little snot-nosed rich kid, isn't it? But no, I would love an Augustus. But yeah, no, my mum's family, all Feckenham basically. Arthur Davis, that line, her mother's line. This is just getting so complicated. There's lots of Arthur Davises, and they've been in Feckenham for 300 or 400 years, and that's as far as that goes. And that just that we don't know when they get to Feckenham. We don't know, but there's there's lots of them. Which is fun.
Is Chaucer the main famous person? Who are the apocryphal famous people from around there?
There's a cricketer who lived next door to us for a while.
Hey.
I can't remember his name, but it was in the 90s, and he was next door to us for a little bit. Who else is there? There's someone else as well.
Oobah Butler?
Oh, yeah, the big top. Yeah, big top Oobah Butler.
Chaucer, Butler,
Chaucer,
that's what they say.
Butler. I don't know. John de Feckenham, there you go. Archbishop of Canterbury.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
So,
wow.
So it's like, that's kind of...
Okay, I'm foreign. So
Okay.
it's to have an Archbishop of Canterbury. That's like to have a Pope. For
Yeah,
your
it's
town.
the baddie Pope. So
Okay.
the Protestant Pope. No, oh, God.
No, just an Anglican Pope, right?
Yeah, I know. I was just being funny. I was a bit saying that the Anglicans were the baddies. But
Oh, right.
no,
Sorry.
it's-
Nope, now I get it. That
I was
slower
just
for me.
doing,
Because in my head, I'm like
sectarianism.
baddie, like sunglasses.
No, yeah, so... Yeah,
Motorcycle
John de
motorcycle
Feckenham,
Pope.
yeah, motorcycle Pope. No, John de Feckenham is like, yeah, he was also from Feckenham, 14th century probably. Actually, I think it's a bit earlier. It's in the Doomsday Book and all that.
All
It's
right.
quite an old school place.
What about...
Feckenham, it's in the Doomsday Book. Yes.
Ooh.
Very cool. What about your dad from Birmingham? What's
Okay.
his side like?
Fucking hell, finally, we're on to Dad. There's so much, isn't there? There's lots of people. I live in Peckham, and I had a guy stop me recently, and he was like, oh, we're related. And I was like, yeah, sure we are, man. And I was, and then about 2 weeks ago, this was about 2 years ago, and 2 weeks ago, my brother went, oh, yeah, one of our cousins lives in Peckham. He said that you ran into you once, and he used to be a fan of your work, and now he knows you're related. I'm not fucking like, what I can't is Feckenham's following me wherever I go.
That's like your dad. Your dad at the
Yeah, it's true. No, it was just cool. But like, I think basically my dad's side, it is Birmingham steelworkers mainly, but there's an Irish line.
Can I just say sorry before we get into your dad? it must be one of the most mortifying feelings in the world to be like, oh, they're recognizing me for the work. No, they're your cousin.
Yeah,
just
your cousin.
related.
Oh wow! Oh, I was so. Thank you so much for your recognition.
Do you want a photo?
This is
Yeah,
why I
please,
do
an
it.
autograph. Oh my god, my mum said she'd gone to a great aunt's funeral and she'd sat next to someone who was like one more removed, and she was like, oh, you have a cousin who's in a punk band. And I looked them up and I was like, oh shit, this is cool. They're like girls in their 20s. They're like amazing. There's like obviously one weird one in the back. They're all the sexiest. No offense to them. Their music is good. I won't say their name. They're like honestly the sexiest women you've ever seen. And then there's like me in the back. She's like doing percussion. She's wearing no makeup. She looks super uncomfortable.
No.
Yeah, I think that checks out.
You're selling yourself short.
The only one who can drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
The responsible.
The one
adult.
with Riz. Come on.
Look, I feel like she's doing a lot of the behind the scenes work, and I respect that. Yes, sorry, your dad.
No.
Birmingham Steel.
Yeah, Birmingham, a lot of steelworkers again. But there's a lot of that side is like my dad's 23andMe is like 90% Irish.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is Manions. So is my Irish side, and there's so many Manions.
So his Catholic is stronger than your mom's Protestant, and that's why he won?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm Irish, you can't make me convert.
Yeah, no, my dad wouldn't have done that. My mom was, I think he was more fussy. I don't know. Yeah, like I'm not religious, and none of my siblings are religious, but my mom and dad both believe in God.
But there's a difference between not being religious and having an Irish person convert from Catholicism.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't be doing that.
In the local church, which is like where my mom's grandparents and great-grandparents were married, Fenham Church, St John the Baptist. My mum and dad were the first ever wedding that they had to do two weddings. They had to have a Anglican and a Catholic one.
That's thrilling.
Oh my god, that's how it should be.
Yeah,
yes.
It's like nice that they got to do it, and also
two with like 90% of the same content though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
It's like not that
So
different.
like the guy changes his hat slightly. And you're like, wow, it's so Catholic now. Yeah, but they were like, they had to get like
touch more guilt.
Yeah, a lot more guilt. So they were like the first ever family to do that, the couple to do that in Feckenham.
That's historic. That's
beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah, they had to get permission from like the archdiocese and all this stuff. It was like a thing.
They were like, neither of us is going to give in and change our minds.
I think, bro, no, I don't know. My mom's like, I'm a people pleaser. So is my mom, and I think my dad would just never. That would have never been something he would have done. No chance. I mean, like, yeah, there is, yeah. I don't know.
Think it's cool as hell.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. Like,
I also just like the fact that they're like, yeah, we'll get married. We'll just have two weddings.
yeah, it was like back to back. They did the services back to back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, it was just like, yeah, funny. So, I mean, my dad's, I think all of his side is all Catholics, but there's like one Welsh line. Then there's the Fitzmaurices, which sounds Irish, doesn't it? There's the Bruces, they're Irish. That's what I was just texting my brother. I was like, how is it so Irish when only one of them we know is born in Ireland? We went there. I went there with my brother and my cousins about 6 weeks ago. We went to the cowshed they all lived in. It was crazy. It's in the family history, and like our great auntie did it like 40, 50 years ago.
I knew the actual place.
Yeah, we went to like, it's so hard to find. And then like we stopped a guy at the side of the road and he was like, oh, Manions, Ballyharness. And he like drove us over here and like drove us to the old family farm.
What?
And then, yeah, it was crazy. And like, yeah, like that's where and in the family history, it details it was just basically a cowshed. And there was 13 of them. And they all basically went to North America. So there's a lot of it's on like Ancestry and stuff. There's loads of like New Jersey Fire chiefs and like things like that.
Checks out.
And they have like a Manion Fest every year, which is like where you can go and meet a load of Manions. Yeah, which I didn't know about until literally.
So, but your family moved from Ireland directly to Birmingham.
Yeah, so Michael Manion, my great grandfather.
There's a comedian called Michael Manion in Manchester.
Is there?
I wonder if you're related.
Genuinely, potentially. Yeah.
Send him an autograph, cut out the middle.
Yeah, I mean that would be good. My dad's Michael Manion moved over, and then one of them stayed in Ireland, and then the rest of them all went to North America.
When you went to that shed in Ireland,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm a sentimental person, but did you have like something wash over you?
Yeah, I mean, it was
fiddle music just playing somewhere in your heart.
I think because we've always been a bit of a, like, and my cousins are quite similar. Like, we were a bit of a clan, and like we're quite like, we were like, you know, sharing fucking so many people around constantly, and all of the kids locally would always come to our house, and it was like my uncle said once he came down the garden and he counted like 40 people and had like kids. People would like, villagers would just like drop their kids at my parents' house. My mom, as the people pleaser, which I said, would always be like, yeah, sure, whatever. My dad would get back from work and would be like, whatever, okay, fine, I'm so tired. And mum was like, you know, in and out of, she was a nurse, so she was like in and out of like being on paternity, loads of obviously maternity leave because she had so many kids, and then was back at work and then and all that stuff. So like we've always felt like very family kind of, it was always very much a shared thing. So I think the fiddle music, I always felt more, that feels to me what I associate with the Irish, that Irish kind of thing. When I go up to Liverpool a lot for the football, that feels quite similar. When you've got like these kind of like, this is a very Irish city, very Catholic city as well, most in Britain by a mile the most Catholic city. Yeah, it's crazy. More so than Glasgow. Like Glasgow's about 20% Irish. Liverpool's like 50.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at it, but I always felt, this sounds, I don't know. It's probably more of a feeling than a reality. But like, I definitely always felt that's sort of the line that I feel the most. But I mean, is that true? Because the Fenham thing is so important as well. Because that's a space and a physical thing, whereas the Irish thing's like a feeling of, oh, this is kind of who we are.
But even that's two quite strong things, probably in a spread of even some other things.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie and I were discussing about how there's this, like, there is a comfort. Again, I'm not part of a community like that. I've only ever seen it from afar. But if you are in a religious minority in a country, there is a sense of community that just by default can't happen in the majority of religion.
Right.
So I do think, like, by default, Catholics are a minority in England, and so you wouldn't have that with C of E.
Of something that's like feels like an interesting thing about you and about your group.
I think and I'm significantly more Russian Orthodox outside of Russia than I am am when I am in Russia.
I didn't even think about that. Obviously, yeah, because I mean that's. I guess in Russia it's the majority religion by a mile, isn't it?
Yeah. But then obviously,
yeah.
So whenever like there's a Russian I don't know if it's still there, but I used to go there maybe like 15 years ago in Kensington, I think.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like in the middle of nowhere there, and I was like, the thing is, I'm not a religious person.
No, but you feel.
Yeah, but whenever I was in there, I was like, oh my god, my
You're
people,
like fond of it.
my people.
Yeah, right.
I think you get more drawn as well to something that, like, if a parent of yours is more fond of a thing.
Yeah.
Like my mum raised Catholic, my dad raised Jewish. My dad much fonder of Judaism than my mum is of Catholicism.
Right.
So even though I've not really engaged with either, I feel closer, more interested in the Jewish part than the Catholic part, because it was like no one was ever like, this is our thing about that.
Right. Yeah, totally. I think you're 100% right. I think that it's like, I think that I didn't grow up religious. We used to go to, like, I don't have any real feeling of religiousness at all, to be honest. I feel so detached from it, all of it. Culturally, definitely have. My dad, it was a big part of his growing up. He went to the Catholic school, and you know, there was obviously a lot of friction there, and he had like people at school who were involved in bombings and things like that during obviously the IRA bombings in Birmingham and everything. So yeah, it like played a huge, and like the Protestant kids would fight the Catholic kids in Birmingham, and it was like the big thing, you know. Whereas for us, we grew up in fucking Fenham.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the perfect, almost in a way, the perfect place to grow up, because it was like, you know, we didn't feel like we were poor or whatever. We were surrounded by kids who were of all different classes, and we were kind of all mishmashed. And it was, as a village, it was sort of like a real microcosm, and like loads of people. We had like loads of just older, rich people who took big interest in our family, which was really nice. And like, because they would be like, you know, Richard Hillman and Janie, his wife, like lived in this big house, and they used to let us come and use their pool. Cool. And they were like, and he was like Scrooge in the pantomime, and he would tell us. he would tell us stories of just, he was in like the Secret Service, he was in East Berlin, and he was there when they put the wall up, and it was like you got access to like this real like,
that's awesome.
yeah, it was a really odd way to grow up, because I think that if you grow up in a city, maybe you don't have the same thing, because everything's smaller in it, and then you'd also get, you know, the farmers in the local pub who would tell you the most horrific stories that you could about, like, you know, local fucking tittle tattles of shagging stories, and like people doing stuff in the graveyard.
Like, okay, I want to know what was fun in your family. Did you have like, would you get together as a family, play games? What's Christmas like? What are birthdays like? What is the vibe? Family trips, family holidays.
You didn't really go on holiday. We used to go to, every so often we'd go to, it was just too many of us. But sometimes, there's a few times where my dad would hire a minibus. This has happened, say, 2 or 3 times. And then drive to the coast, Wales.
Great.
Yeah, but otherwise, whenever we travelled, it would be Mum and Dad in the front, Pete, Emma and James in the back, you know, on the real back seats, and then me, John and Becky, the youngest, just lay across the boot with a blanket.
Because you had to hide from people seeing you.
Yeah, did you have to hide from the cops?
Of course.
Oh, that's so exciting though, because you're a little team.
That's a pure and you know what? That is a perfect childhood holiday, because you can never get it back.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to have that experience again.
Well, I had one where I don't think I was in the car, but then there was one where my dad, Mum was like going insane because of all the kids, and my dad was like, okay, we're taking you out, and drove up. We're near the Malvern Hills, we're not far from that. And my dad drove up a track he didn't realise was not for cars. And they got to thinking they were literally, all of my brothers and sisters were in the car with him. I think I'm not sure if I was there. I don't think it was. I think it was to you. And it literally got to a point where it was like it was like this on a slant. And Dad was like, he was like, I didn't know what the fuck to do. He's like terrified, panicking. Anyway, managed to get everyone to sit, and one of them started crying, and then basically sit on another part of the car, and then they managed to get it back.
That's like balance it out.
Yeah, exactly. Genuinely, it's fucking insane.
Wait, with weight?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
My dad would always be, but Dad used to be like going on a magical mystery tour, and he'd just drive to somewhere like.
That's a reason to have a lot of kids.
Somewhere in Birmingham.
A lot of kids, so you can rebalance the car as it goes over a cliff.
It's fucking
Some
insane,
ballast.
is it? It sounds like a made-up story, but it's genuinely not.
It's amazing.
But yeah, that was me.
That's the most exciting thing that can ever happen to a child.
I think traumatizing. And my sister still goes on about it.
I love it. All right, shall we wrap up? Do you have anything you'd like to promote?
No. I mean, my documentary, The Great Amazon Heist.
You
can
must.
get it on Channel 4.
It's incredible.
You simply
Thank
must.
you. Yeah, you can get it
Why
on.
haven't you already?
Exactly. You can get it on Channel 4's YouTube or on Channel 4 Player, and then soon in other countries, but not 100% sure that's happening right now.
Very exciting.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Thank you for
guys.
coming.
Enjoyed that.
All right, if you want to, what do we say at the end of this? If you want to send us a message, do it.
DM us or leave it in your will.